Hey guys, good afternoon. In this video, I'm going to take you through the contract to close steps for a buyer's agent. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, on my screen you'll see that here's the 6 phases that I kind of broke them down into. Contract execution, that being the day that the documents all got signed. The home inspection period, which is going to be on your contract, should be anywhere between 10 to 12 days. Post-home inspection period, a couple days prior to closing day, and post-closing. Okay, so the contract execution, again, that's where everything is signed, fully executed, all the documents are there and agreed to by all parties. First thing you want to do is get that over to the lender, okay? If they don't have a lender chosen, that's fine. You don't have to do it immediately. They have, I think, well, technically there's a line in the purchase agreement that tells them when they have to have their loan locked in by, or their loan documents submitted and moving forward by. Usually that mark is about 7 days, but most buyers, they already have who they're going to go with. They've already gotten pre-qualified, so forth and so on. So you're going to want to get that email off with the fully executed documents over to the lender. Second, you'll want to discuss is who they want to close with. Now, most buyers are not going to have a preference, so you want to offer them 2 or 3 different companies and then let them choose. And most of the time, again, they're going to say, well, let's just go with the one you guys are familiar with doing business with, and you can make a decision from there along with your buyers. So third step there, deposit check. The default language in the purchase agreement says it has to be delivered within 72 hours. So this generally means you can't mail it or have them mail it. You're going to want to kind of get that over to the title company kind of ASAP, okay? And fourth, just get your documents into BrokerMint. This allows us to check for compliance, making sure you got all your I's dotted and T's crossed. Home inspection period. So this is basically where the get out of jail free card, as I call it, for the buyers. The buyers in this during this time can check for things like flood zones, school zones, surveys, anything they want that is going to have an impact on their decision of whether they want to move forward, okay? So you'll want to go ahead and schedule a home inspection. Again, most of the time they're not going to have one, so you can feel free to recommend a few here and there. After the home's inspected, you'll be able to negotiate some of the repairs, okay? And this is a kind of a little bit of a more back and forth between you and the seller's agent. There's a different form for submitting those repairs, and that is a whole nother process. Again, any details here that we're talking about, flood zones, school zones, if the buyers are wanting to cancel, they're getting nervous, they're asking questions like, is this a good area? I'm not really sure. All those different things. They have every right to ask those questions and get all those answers before the inspection period is over, okay? That's why it's also important if there is a subdivision there, you're going to kind of want to check that and make sure that there's nothing there in the covenants and restrictions of the subdivision that'll prevent them from wanting to move forward. So things like, hey, I need to buy a house that I need to have a boat parked in the backyard. Well, some neighborhoods might have a restriction against that, okay? Or they want a certain type of fence, or they want to shop. Any of those kind of things, those are common things that do come up, so you want to make sure you review that. Okay, and I kind of already reiterated number 5 there. If they're not comfortable, they just need to make sure they notify you, and you guys either A, extend the inspection period till they are comfortable, or B, just cancel. All right, so the post-home inspection, these are just kind of some high-level events that are happening, and those are the different people involved, right? So as the realtor, once the home has been inspected and all the repairs have been agreed upon, you're going to want to go ahead and tell the lender, go ahead and order that appraisal, okay? There's other documents. Usually there's a termite certificate. If the home is on a private water well or sewer, you're going to want to be trying to chase that down from the listing agent. Any other agreed upon items, addendums, whatever it may be. The lender, that's kind of some of the things that he'll be doing, ordering the appraisal and continuing to process the loan. Probably submit them to underwriting and so forth and so on. The title company is going to order the abstract, and they'll be contacting the buyer. So just make sure your buyer has a heads up that the title company ABC will be calling them. They usually will check for like liens and things like that. So they will get their social security number. I've had buyers ask questions like, is that normal? And it absolutely is. And as far as the buyer, what they can be doing at this point is just continuing to process their loan, working with the lender. They can shop for homeowners insurance and just start the packing, scheduling movers, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so 1 to 5 days prior to closing, just again, high-level things that you need to be looking out for. Utilities. You should be giving your buyer a list of the utilities that need to be transferred. Commonly, that's electricity, gas, and water. You can also see sewer, trash, any of those kind of things in there as well. Just make sure that you're giving them a list of the companies and maybe even the phone numbers. Final walkthrough and repairs. Here's where you will walk through the home. And you're doing two things here. You want to verify that the agreed upon repairs have been done and get your receipts. And the second thing there is you want to make sure that there's no new damage. Okay, so it's not a chance to reinspect, but in some ways, if there's a defect that was not found, that maybe was done after, you have every right to go ahead and hold that up. Okay, so like all of a sudden, if there's a leak in the ceiling, and that wasn't there before, and especially if you can prove it, then that's kind of one of those things you want to pause and hold up and get those addressed before you get to closing. Usually the settlement statement is going to come probably closer to closing, maybe 1 or 2 days prior. Just make sure you're reviewing it for things like the contract price, the buyer's getting their seller paid closing costs, and home warranty, which is the next item. Don't forget, most of the time if you are negotiating for a home warranty, it'll be upon you to go ahead and schedule that. So make sure you do that as well. Change of address. This is something that'd be just a good idea to give to your buyer. You can give them the online link to the USPS website and they can complete that. Just another thing that they're not thinking about. So, okay, closing. So, yeah, these are just some tips here. Just a good idea to give your client a closing gift. It can be anything from a monogram, something to just to gift cards or any of those types of things. Once you're done closing, you'll collect your closing docs and bring your check to the office. Okay, and that's when we'll cut you your check. Yeah, celebrate, take pics, social media. I'm pretty big on this. It's just a good idea to get out there and blow them up and tag them and that sort of thing. It's a big happy event, kind of a celebration for all of your work throughout that process. Post-closing, and this is something that I would not, bypass. Very important that as you go through your real estate career that you want to make these people clients for life. So at some point, you got to understand that these people will be selling and upgrading to a bigger home, smaller home, you name it. So first thing, you want to remove them from any listing alerts. So if you haven't set up on listing alerts, just go ahead and disable those or just, deactivate them. And make sure you add them to your database. And I put things like their closing date, their birthday, and any other important notes of any relevance there. Whether it be they're having a child and, next month or in 3 months or 6 months, and it just gives you reasons to reach out back and touch them. Okay, I also put them on a drip campaign where I'm going to reach out to them, or it reaches out automatically on things like they're filing for their homestead exemption, asking for reviews, happy 1 year closing anniversary, and these are things that could be automated. So, and that is it.